You thought you were forgotten, but I never took my eyes off you. I speak now into the hollow places of your soul, the ones you've patched over with silence and filled with duty, the ones that ache not because of what was lost, but because of what never came. I speak not to impress but to realign, not to excite but to awaken. You have not been dismissed. You have been developed. You have not been discarded. You have been set apart. And though the world has mislabeled your season as a failure, I call it formation. You see delay, I see design. You count what is missing, I measure what is maturing. You thought silence meant absence, but I speak best in stillness. The world applauds what's loud and obvious, but I'm the God of roots, of the unseen depths that hold up the highest callings. I didn't place you in isolation to punish you. I placed you there to prepare you. You have not been buried. You've been planted. And what grows in secret will one day speak for itself. Yes, you've endured seasons where you questioned your worth. Seasons where you prayed for open doors and received quiet rooms. Where you gave without return. Loved without reciprocity. Dreamed without visible traction. I saw every moment. Not one tear escaped my notice. Not one prayer dissolved in vain. You weren't invisible to me. You were invaluable. Even when your confidence faded, your spirit whispered my name. Even when others moved on, I held you close. I didn't need your perfection, I only asked for your presence, and you gave it. You stayed. You remained. You didn't shut your heart entirely, though the weight nearly crushed it. You kept showing up with your broken offering, and I received it as worship. Let me speak now to the part of you that doesn't know how to hope anymore. You've been trained to prepare for disappointment. You've learned to manage your expectations so they don't hurt when they collapse. But I didn't create you to survive disappointment. I created you to steward destiny. I didn't fill you with potential just to watch it waste away in the shadows. Every delay has been loaded with purpose. My child, you've mistaken slow for stagnant, but I have never stopped moving. While you've been questioning your direction, I've been establishing your foundation. The next things I release in your life aren't random upgrades. They are tailored alignments. I don't send rain until the soil is ready. I don't give harvest until the roots are deep. I won't open what you're not yet ready to carry, but you are being made ready. I did not leave you in the fire to destroy you. I stayed with you to remake you. You have asked again and again, why did it have to hurt this way? Why did those I trusted turn their faces? Why did the ground collapse beneath me just when I thought I had found solid footing? I hear the questions, not just the ones you speak aloud, but the ones buried in the cracks of your heart. Let me tell you now, with the weight of eternity behind my words, the fire was not punishment. It was refinement. I allowed what I could have prevented, not to break you, but to burn away what could not follow you into your next chapter. That pain, it wasn't cruelty, it was calibration. You thought you were being diminished, but I was, increasing your capacity. You see, your calling was always greater than your comfort. Your identity was always bigger than their acceptance. So I led you through fire not to show you your limits, but to reveal your core. And even as flames danced around your soul, I held your essence in my hand. You thought I left, but I never took one step back. I walked into the fire with you. Do you remember those nights when sleep would not come and tears became your only language? When you whispered, God, are you even listening? And silence answered back. That was not the absence of my care. That was the depth of my work. In those moments when your prayers were more groans than words, my spirit interceded. Not one ache went unnoticed. Not one breath was wasted. You see, the deeper the call, the deeper the cutting, the brighter the flame. the more precise the shaping. And what I was shaping in you is not visible on the outside. It's the kind of strength that doesn't shout. It stands. It doesn't glitter. It grounds. It doesn't boast, it breathes peace. Let me say this. I trusted you with pain because I knew what I planted in you would survive it. That doesn't mean I enjoyed watching you suffer. I am not detached from your anguish. I wept with you. I stood beside you. I absorbed every blow the enemy thought would shatter you. And in the invisible realm I was warring for you, claiming your destiny in the face of darkness. Even when you questioned me, I never questioned you. Even when you ran low, on faith I remained full of purpose. Even when you stopped reaching, I stayed near. Your survival wasn't random, it was orchestrated. That you are still here, still breathing, still believing even a little, that is the proof of my hand. The enemy didn't win. The pain didn't finish you. The betrayal didn't break you beyond repair. The fire purified you. The tears watered, something eternal. And now we build from the ashes. I'm not restoring what was. I'm releasing what's always been yours. You've asked me to bring back what was lost. But I'm not returning you to what broke. I am not taking you backward. I am taking you deeper. Restoration is not duplication. It is elevation. You think what you had before was good? Wait until you see what I've held back for this very moment. I am not rebuilding the old. I am revealing the true. The friendships I remove are not subtractions, they are sacred clearings. The jobs, positions, platforms that didn't hold, those were scaffolding, not foundation. You mourn what left, not realizing I protected you from weight your character couldn't carry yet. And now that you've been refined, I can trust you with more. Not just influence, but integrity. Not just visibility, but vision. I didn't withhold because you were undeserving. I waited because you were still becoming. Can you see it now? The doors that closed weren't rejection, they were rerouting. The prayers I didn't answer with yes weren't neglect, they were redirection. And now that you've learned to worship me without clarity, I can release what requires maturity, because what's coming is weighty. I'm placing keys in your hands, keys to impact, to voice, to legacy. But they won't look like recognition first. They'll look like responsibility. They'll come wrapped in service. They'll be tested in small rooms before they ever reach big ones. That's how I build, from the inside out, from the root to the fruit. From the silent prayer to the public outpouring. You thought the silence was stillness. It was scaffolding. I was layering wisdom on your emotions. I was teaching you how to hear my whisper when applause faded. I was building identity that didn't depend on response, and now I'm calling it forth. What you lost is not greater than what I'm bringing. Grief has had a seat at your table long enough. It has whispered that your best days are behind you, that the ship has sailed, that too much time has passed, that others have gone ahead. But I say to you now, I am not late. I am precise. The enemy wants you to mourn a future that never left my hands, but I still hold it. Every detail, every dream, every date you gave up on, every desire you buried to protect your heart. I still see it. I still honor it. I still intend to fulfill it. So lift your eyes, not just emotionally, spiritually. See again. Dream again. Prepare again. Not because the old will return, but because the new is near. And you, my child, are ready now in ways you never were before. This next season isn't about trying harder. It's about trusting deeper. The battle you just came through was not a punishment. It was permission, and now I give you this. Permission to stop apologizing for your existence. Permission to stop shrinking to fit old patterns. Permission to stop calling small safe. Permission to walk in the fullness of what I've always seen in you. permission, to release the weight of proving, and to embrace the grace of becoming. This is what I meant when I said the fire would not destroy you. It would define you. And now that the ashes have settled, what remains is me, alive in you, active through you, moving ahead of you. So rise, not in pride, but in peace. Because I am here, and I am not finished. I didn't just rebuild you to admire you. I rebuilt you to release you. I speak now to the feet that have hesitated, the hands that have trembled, the voice that has grown too used to silence. I speak to the dream that's been wrapped in caution and to the vision that's been dimmed by delay. I say to you now, it is time to move. Not to prove, but to partner. Not to impress, but to obey. I do not awaken you just to inspire you. I awaken you to align you. You have spent enough time rehearsing the pain. Now, rehearse the promise. You have been faithful in staying. Now be faithful in stepping. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into what I have already secured. What waits ahead of you is not an experiment. It is an appointment. The time for doubt has passed. The season of delay has served its purpose. Now, I am stirring the ground beneath your feet. I am shifting the wind around your spirit. I am making the earth ready to respond to your obedience. When you speak, things will move. When you walk, things will part. When you obey, things will align. You've asked me, God, what's next? But I ask you now, what did I already say? You're not lacking instruction. You're hesitating because of fear. But fear is not your master anymore. You don't belong to the voice of hesitation. You belong to me, the voice who speaks worlds into existence and speaks to you in the same breath. And here is my instruction. Move forward. I've already gone before you. I've already prepared provision. I've already assigned help. I've already aligned timing. The only thing left is your step. Let me now speak to the places in your soul where trauma distorted timing. I am healing. How you trust. The pain of yesterday tried to write tomorrow's instructions. The disappointments you walked through built a wall around your yes. But I am not calling you to walk forward wounded. I'm calling you to walk forward whole. I'm not just healing your body. I'm healing your discernment. I'm renewing your courage. I'm repairing the bridge between my voice and your action. You once moved with freedom, then betrayal taught you to hesitate. You once spoke with clarity, then rejection taught you to second guess. But I am restoring your movement, not as an echo of past seasons, but as a new rhythm of trust. You no longer need to brace for disappointment. You are no longer on the edge of rejection. You are in the center of my will. And my will is not a puzzle to decode. It is a path to walk. You don't need to see every step. You just need to take the next one. Your step releases my supply. Your obedience activates my orchestration. Every delay you feared, I've already redeemed. Every detour you mourned, I've already turned. I don't operate by your clock, I move by design. And the design is unfolding now. So move, even if your knees shake. Move, even if your voice cracks. Move, even if you have to do it quietly, because the sound of your movement is shaking realms you cannot see. Now let me speak to the atmosphere around you. Your environment must match your elevation. You are not who you were, so you cannot stay where you were. I am calling you to change your rhythm, your circle, your consumption. Because elevation is not just spiritual, it is practical. What you listen to matters. What you watch matters. What you say matters. Who you give your ear to matters. Not everything that's good is godly. Not every open door is appointed. Not every crowd is covenant. I'm calling you to be deliberate with your surroundings. You cannot fly while feeding on what keeps you grounded. The voices you allow to influence your heart will shape your horizon, and your horizon must be clear. because clarity is costly. It requires protection. You have asked me to sharpen your discernment, and now I'm asking you to obey what you discern. There will be conversations you must leave. There will be places you can no longer go. There will be comforts you must release. Because I am calling you into new levels of power, and power without purity becomes corruption. I'm not promoting you for applause, I'm positioning you for impact. And what I release next must rest on a holy foundation. This is not about performance, it's about stewardship. You've been trusted with oil. Now guard the vessel. Finally, let me speak to what will come as you move. You will see what you carried in the spirit become visible in the natural. You've travailed in prayer. You've waited in silence. You've believed in stillness. Now you will see. The dreams you journaled in secret will begin to take shape. The words I whispered will begin to echo through doors you never knocked on. The ideas I planted will find their moment. And it will not come through striving. It will come through surrender. You will move and momentum will follow. You will speak and peace will settle. You will give and overflow will find you. Not because you chased it, but because you walked in me. You were never made for passive survival. You were made for purposeful release, and the time for release has come. So do not delay. Do not compare. Do not rehearse what went wrong. Do not wait for another sign. This is the sign. This is the moment. This is the sound of movement. You've been rebuilt. You've been realigned, and now you are being released. You don't need to fight for what I've already given. You only need to walk like it's yours. I want to speak now to your posture, because it's not just enough to move. I want to teach you how to move, with peace, with pace, with purpose. Because when I call you forward, I don't call you to strive. I call you to walk. And this walk isn't about chasing. It's about carrying. You're not proving anything. You're embodying everything. You've been called, not just to show up, but to carry something holy. There is weight to your steps now. There is oil on your words. There is clarity in your spirit, and the world won't always understand it. But you were never meant to be understood by the crowd. You were marked for covenant. You were chosen for communion. You will enter rooms not because of your resume, but because of your revelation. You will lead, not because you climbed, but because you surrendered. You will speak, not to be heard, but because I've given you something worth releasing. So walk now like you know I've gone ahead of you. Walk like your name is known in heaven. Walk like your presence shifts the atmosphere. Not because of you, but because I am with you. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to apologize for your assignment. You don't need to compete for attention. When I placed my hand on you, I secured what no human affirmation could ever give. Let me now speak to how you carry yourself internally. Confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment. You've wrestled with this, how to walk boldly without becoming proud, how to rise without losing your grounding. But hear me. Humility is not hiding. It's being deeply rooted in where your strength comes from. Arrogance looks to impress. Humility looks to impact. And you, my child, were made to impact. You've second-guessed your strength because you've seen how others respond to it. But I want to clear this now. Just because your presence challenges people doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes my light in you confronts the places they've avoided. That's not pride, that's purpose. Do not apologize for being a vessel of conviction. Do not dim your flame to make others more comfortable. Do not shrink because the room is small. Make it holy. You're not showing up to dominate. You're showing up to serve. And true servants carry authority. Not because they demand it, but because heaven endorses it. Let me speak to your relationships next. I am sending people who see your spirit, not just your surface. You've poured out in places that only took. You've served in rooms that only consumed. You've shared dreams with those who did not steward them. But I saw it, and I've made note of every ounce of honor you gave even when it wasn't returned. Now I'm sending you covenant. People who don't need to be convinced. People who recognize you by spirit, not status. People who honor your scars, not just your strengths. These relationships won't be built through networking. They'll be born in prayer, and they'll bring more than companionship. They'll carry confirmation. You'll recognize them not by how much they applaud, but by how deeply they listen. They won't compete with your assignment. They'll help carry it. These are kingdom connections. These are divine alignments. These are the people you prayed for, and now they are coming. And yes, this means some people will fall away. But do not mourn what I'm removing. I am not subtracting. I am protecting. You've asked for clarity, and this is what it looks like. Letting go of what distracts from destiny. Let me choose your circle. Let me appoint your confidants. Let me build your table. Now let me speak to your daily rhythm. You are no longer living from pressure. You are living from presence. I do not want you to wake up bracing for another battle. I want you to wake up anchored. I want the rhythm of your life to match the rhythm of my spirit, not frantic, not desperate, but deliberate, restful, responsive. You've tried to earn what I freely give. You've tried to strive where I've called you to abide. You've let your worth fluctuate with outcomes. But I say now, no more. Let me set your pace. The pressure to produce ends here. The compulsion to prove ends here. The addiction to busyness ends here. Your fruitfulness does not come from performance. It comes from proximity. When you walk closely, with me the fruit is automatic. Joy that doesn't need a reason. Peace that doesn't need permission. Insight that doesn't need confirmation. This is what it means to walk in authority. Not to bark orders, but to release order. Not to dominate moments, but to define them through alignment. This is the walk of the anointed, and it begins not with effort, but with awareness. Lastly, in this part, let me speak to what's ahead. You've walked through fire. Now walk in fulfillment. No more pretending you're still in survival. No more dragging shame like a shadow. You've walked through fire and come out with the fragrance of faith. And now, the atmosphere is shifting. You'll walk into situations and know instantly, this was prepared. You'll speak in conversations and realize, I've been rehearsing this in the spirit for years. You're not stumbling into favor. You're stepping into fulfillment, and it won't feel like pressure. It will feel like peace. Because it's not just what you've been praying for, it's what I've been preparing. This is not just the answer to your prayers, it is the answer to mine. Because while you've been asking for release, I've been waiting for your readiness, and now I say, you are ready. I didn't just give you eyes to see. I gave you vision to interpret. You've asked for clarity. You've begged for direction. You've cried for confirmation. And I've heard it all. Not just in your words, but in your weariness. You're not confused because you lack faith. You're weary because you've been walking without full light. But now, I am illuminating the path. I'm not giving you every step. I'm giving you enough to walk. I'm not revealing the full map. I'm revealing movement. I'm not handing you a blueprint, I'm handing you discernment. Discernment is how I lead those who are trusted with weight. You don't need more signs. You need sensitivity. You don't need louder voices. You need quieter space. You don't need outside validation. You need internal alignment. I'm sharpening your spirit now, not just to hear what I say, but to know how to respond. Because the next season won't be defined by open doors alone. It will be defined by how you walk through them. Not every opportunity is your assignment. Not every invitation is a covenant. I'm teaching you to ask deeper questions, not "Can I do this?" but "Was I sent here?" Not "Is this good?" but "Is this God?" You are no longer called to react. You are called to respond. And responses come from rest, from confidence, from communion. Let me speak now to your decision-making. Your choices are no longer about survival. They are about stewardship. You've been trained by trauma to choose what feels safe, what seems predictable. But I am not calling you to comfort. I am calling you to courage. This is not the time to shrink back into self-preservation. This is the time to rise into spirit-led navigation. I'm removing the fog. What once felt complex will suddenly feel clear. I'm simplifying what stress has complicated. You'll begin to notice. Decisions no longer take months of torment. The right path no longer demands endless opinions. Peace will accompany your yes. Grace will support your no. I'm training your instincts to respond to the wind of my voice, not the trends, not the pressure, not the fear of missing out. I am your source of wisdom. And my wisdom is not locked away, it's near, it's accessible, it's yours. You are not called to second-guess every step. You are called to walk in agreement. Now let me speak to spiritual warfare in your atmosphere. Your authority is not in shouting. It's in standing. You have already won battles you didn't know were happening. Why? Because my presence in you does the fighting. You don't need to beg for peace. You carry peace. You don't need to rebuke every storm. Some storms dissolve in your silence. You don't need to argue with darkness. Just stand in the light I've placed inside you. You've misunderstood spiritual warfare as endless intensity, but real authority doesn't panic. It doesn't wrestle with insecurity. It knows. It knows what it carries. It knows who backs it. It knows the weight of quiet obedience. I am placing in you the kind of presence that shifts rooms, not through volume, but through depth. The enemy will try to provoke you. Don't respond in emotion. Respond in identity. You're not the same person who had to fight to be heard. Now your silence can thunder. Your stillness can shake. Your yes can shift cities. Because your authority is not made of noise. It's made of knowing. Let me now speak to the emotional weight you've carried. You don't have to carry what I've already healed. Yes, there are days when grief still visits. Yes, the echoes of old wounds still try to speak. But let me tell you this. You are not the ache you still remember. You are not the fear that still tries to whisper. You are not the version of you that lived in that painful season. You are healed. Even when the memories haven't caught up, you are whole. Even if your emotions need a moment to adjust, you are free. Even if the habit of fear still knocks sometimes, this healing is not a performance. It's a progression. Let me walk with you through it. Let me sanctify your memories. Let me teach you how to carry your past, not as proof of pain, but as a platform of purpose. You don't need to get over it. You need to bring it under me. I don't discard your history, I redeem it. Lastly, in this part, let me speak to your pace and protection. You are covered, not because you see me, but because I've never stopped seeing you. There were moments, silent, lonely, long, when you assumed I had turned away. But let me speak the truth over that assumption. I have never looked away. Not in your darkest night. Not in your weakest hour. Not in your silent pain. I didn't flinch when you doubted. I didn't retreat when you wrestled. I didn't back away when you broke. In fact, I came closer. While others measured you by outward strength, I held you by inward surrender. While others looked for proof of productivity, I looked for posture. And I saw you choose me when nothing made sense. I saw you pray when it felt hollow. I saw you stay when it felt empty. That is why I cover you now, not because you earned it, but because you endured. You are surrounded. Angels flank your steps. Heaven backs your words. My spirit reinforces your silence. This covering isn't temporary, it's covenant. Walk like you're protected, because you are. What I placed in you is not just for survival, it is for release. It is for others. It is for nations. This is no longer just about you. You prayed for breakthrough. I answered with assignment. You asked for restoration. I responded with release. And now that you are walking in authority, I am multiplying what you carry, not so you can hold more, but so you can pour more. This is the principle of overflow, not striving, not collecting, not storing, but pouring. Didn't fill you with comfort. I filled you with commission. You are not a reservoir. You are a river. You are not a keeper of light. You are a lamp on a hill. So here's what I ask of you. Stay available. Because this oil is not for image, it's for impact. You will pour in places that feel unworthy. You will speak to people who do not expect to receive. You will plant where the soil seems dry, and you will witness me bring rivers and deserts and gardens out of graveyards. This is the life of overflow. I give you more than you need so you can give from more than you have. You'll feel it. Words rising up that aren't yours. Clarity in conversations you didn't prepare for. Ideas that come out of nowhere but solve what others couldn't. Favor that opens doors you never applied for. Don't call it coincidence, call it overflow. Let me speak to your influence. I am extending your reach, not your ego. I am not raising you up for attention. I am sending you forward for assignment. There is a difference between popularity and purpose. And you were not made for the shallow seas of applause. You were made for the deep waters of divine work. So when they call your name, remember, it's not about the invitation, it's about the intention. You are not in rooms because of charisma. You are in rooms because of covenant. You are not being honored because of what you built. You are being honored because of what you carried when no one was watching. This is not reward. This is recognition. Recognition of what heaven always knew, of what I spoke over you when the world still saw your weakness, of what I trusted you to steward in secret. So don't use this moment to gather validation. Use it to release value. You are being positioned not to gain followers, but to make disciples. Not to sell your story, but to share my truth. Not to curate a brand, but to carry my breath. This is your influence. Integrity over intensity. Truth over trend. Spirit over spectacle. Now let me speak to your creative capacity. I'm about to pour ideas into you that carry heaven's DNA. You've thought your creativity was a side feature, an add-on to your calling. But I say this, I am the creator, and you are made in my image. That means your ideas are sacred. Your innovation is spiritual. I am releasing strategies, not borrowed, not recycled, not inherited, but downloaded. You'll write what's never been written. You'll design what's never been imagined. You'll speak what cuts through noise and awakens slumber, and it won't be for applause. It will be for awakening. This is not just art. This is architecture. You are building realities with the power of words, sound, movement, vision. So don't limit your ideas. They are not distractions. They are blueprints. Start the business. Draft the book. Launch the concept. Pitch the proposal. Sketch the design. Do it without waiting for perfect. Do it without fear of results. Do it knowing I gave it. I will breathe on it. Because your hands have been cleansed, now I can trust them to create. Let me speak to your harvest. You sowed in tears. Now you will reap in joy. You were faithful when no fruit appeared. You kept sowing when the soil mocked you. You watered with prayers others thought were wasted, but not one drop was lost. not one seed ignored. You are stepping into harvest, not just in finances, in relationships, in restoration, in reputation, in spiritual gifts. I'm returning what the locusts ate. I'm redeeming what was stolen in silence. I'm replacing years of drought with rivers of increase. This is not random blessing. It is aligned return. You did not plant for applause. You planted in pain, and now you will gather in joy. You'll be shocked how fast it happens. Not because you manipulated it, not because you chased it, but because you believed. You believed through barrenness. You believed when others stopped. You believed when you didn't feel it. You believed with nothing but a seed and a word, and that's why you will see more than you imagined. Finally, in this part, let me speak to your legacy. What begins in you will not end with you. This movement is generational. You're not just being blessed, you're breaking cycles. You're not just rising, you're rerouting bloodlines. You're not just being healed, you're setting a standard of wholeness for those who come after you. Children will inherit what you steward now. Communities will be shaped by your choices. Nations will echo with the sound of your obedience. And one day when they ask, "How did this start?" they will point to you, not for your glory, but for my faithfulness. I chose you to be the hinge on which destinies turn. I trusted you to stand when others ran, and because you stayed, what you build will stand longer than your lifetime. This is legacy, not just a memory, a movement, and it begins not with fame but with faithfulness. This is not the end of the story, this is the rising of the sound. You stood through the fire, you endured the silence, you obeyed through the ache. And now I speak to you not to stir you emotionally but to establish you eternally. Because what you've been through was not just resistance, it was refinement. And what's happening now is not just opportunity, it is orchestration. The silence that once surrounded you will be replaced with sound. Sound that confirms, sound that breaks chains, sound that opens doors, sound that shakes foundations. But not sound born of noise or hype. Sound born of obedience. Sound born of oil. Sound born of surrender. You've been wondering what fulfillment would feel like. It will feel like peace. Not the absence of pressure, but the presence of purpose. You will wake up and recognize alignment. You will move and witness favor. You will speak and see movement. Not because you are chasing something, but because everything is catching up to what I've already spoken. This is the sound of fulfillment, and it is unmistakable. Let me speak now to what will no longer hold you. You are no longer tied to what used to define you. The fear that made you freeze, it will no longer silence your voice. The shame that made you shrink, it will no longer color your vision. The rejection that shaped your patterns, it will no longer shape your pace. You are not the abandoned one. You are not the unqualified one. You are not the almost chosen. You are the anointed, and the anointing on your life is not seasonal. It is not situational. It is not fragile. It is sealed. I did not bring you this far to dangle destiny in front of you. I brought you here to release it, to trust you with what you prayed for, to multiply what you were faithful to carry in obscurity. So now, the patterns of survival are breaking. You will not sabotage the new with the reflexes of the old. You will not hesitate out of habit. You will not rehearse old pain when I am writing new provision. I am closing the book on survival. You are entering the chapter of sustainability, not in your strength but in my spirit. Let me speak to your final yes. You are ready not because you feel ready, but because I say you are. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel qualified. But this next season is not about feeling. It is about faith. You don't need to know everything. You just need to believe what I said. And I say this again. You are ready. Ready for doors that once scared you. Ready for platforms that once intimidated you. Ready for relationships that require maturity. Ready for responsibility that pulls on your oil, not your ego. This is not an accidental timing, this is my hand. And when I say move, heaven moves with you. Your yes is no longer fragile. It is forged in the fire, and every step you take will be covered, not because you earned it, but because I ordained it. Now let me speak to your communion with me. You will no longer visit my presence, you will walk in it. You've tasted my nearness, but I want more than visits. I want habitation. I want my voice to be the sound that starts your day. I want my word to be the fire that fuels your decisions. I want my spirit to be the wind that steers your entire life. You've prayed from need. Now pray from oneness. You've worshipped from pain. Now worship from wholeness. You've walked in desperation. Now walk in partnership. You don't have to wonder if I'm with you. You are in me, and I am in you. That truth will become your rhythm, your compass, your confidence. This isn't the part where you start striving again. This is the part where you stay close, and everything else flows. Stay rooted. Stay listening. Stay humble. Stay ready. Because what I'm doing in you is not just for this year. It's for generations, and what begins in intimacy will echo into eternity. And finally, let me speak to how you leave this moment. You don't leave as the one who once survived. You rise as the one who now carries sound. Sound that shakes what was stagnant. Sound that draws the hungry. Sound that sets captives free. Sound that awakens what religion could never resurrect. Your voice carries oil. Your hands carry grace. Your presence carries me. You don't have to shout. Your return. You are the return. You don't have to demand a room. The room will recognize the oil, not because you've mastered a formula, but because you said yes in fire and now walk in favor. They thought you were done. They thought your silence was surrender. But I say, this is the rising of my sound through you. And this sound cannot be blocked, cannot be muted, cannot be discredited, because I authored it, and I do not abandon what I author. So rise now, not in rush, but in rhythm, not for platform, but for purpose, not from fear, but from fullness. You're not waiting for your moment. You are the moment. You are the fulfillment of what generations prayed for. You are the fruit of hidden obedience. You are the vessel I chose. So move, so pour, so walk, so build, so speak, so rest, so reign, because I am with you, and this is just the beginning.